Bonjour, mon amis, and welcome to another exciting edition of Coffee with Stephen. A little Francophile alliteration there for a moment. So, this week's blog is entitled The Queen. And unless you've been living under a rock, you are well aware of the fact that we had the passing of Queen Elizabeth and the ascension of King Charles. And on Monday, we had her actual state funeral. Um, I was contemplating exactly how I was going to tackle this blog. Queen Elizabeth is a unique historic character, and it's been fascinating for me seeing all of the, well, in some respects, anti-monarchy individuals kind of kvetching about the fact that we're celebrating Queen Elizabeth, and of course, some of the anti British individuals, more specifically anti British Empire individuals. Kind of reminiscing over some of the, darker aspects of British colonialism and somehow, impugning all of these negative ramifications on Queen Elizabeth. I start the blog off by talking about how we all have heroes that sort of exist in our mind. Some of these heroes are completely fictional. They've never existed in reality. For me, we've got Atticus Finch, Indiana Jones, James Bond, people that we look to for some level of emotional inspiration. And then we have other individuals that are historic figures. They could be contemporaries, they could be figures from the past, people that we've never met before, but we create two-dimensional frameworks of these individuals, and we place them in the same context as those literary heroes. Because they provide value. They give us something. Sometimes it's nothing more than emotional buoyancy, but there's always something there. And the Queen, at least for me, fell clearly within that. Queen Elizabeth was a remarkable individual outside of the longevity of her reign, and this is coming from an American, somebody who I've spent some time in England, but not a huge amount of time throughout my life. And while we appreciate the pageantry and the magistry and all that other stuff that's associated with not just the monarchy, but the entire concept of a constitutional monarchy, there was something unique to her. One of the things that I mentioned in the blog is her moniker in and of itself. There are, interestingly enough, many queens that exist in the world today, notwithstanding the more dubious nature of them, individuals that legitimately hold the hereditary title of queen. And yet, when we use the term the Queen, everyone knows exactly who we're talking about. Queen Elizabeth existed on a unique level of the social hierarchical scale. And one of the reasons for this was that she doggedly refused to participate in any form of internecine politics. Now, it was interesting. I was having a conversation with Richard Paul, one of our members. He's a American citizen now, but he grew up in England. He was a UK transplant. And we were talking about the Queen and the fact that she remained completely apolitical and why that was so necessary for her to become a singular point of inspiration for all of her subjects, regardless of their political affiliations. And Richard pointed out that there was one time, well, actually, more specifically, I asked him, I said, how did Queen Elizabeth, because, to be quite candid with you, I don't remember, how did Queen Elizabeth handle the September 11th terrorist attacks? Because, there was a huge portion of the world that many of you may remember that actually celebrated those attacks. And, being as non-political as she was, did she ignore them, or how did she handle it? And Richard actually forwarded me a video which was really, really interesting. On September 12th, 2001, when the royal band marshaled in front of Buckingham Palace, she ordered them to, instead of playing God Save the Queen, actually ordered them to change their musical score, and in their Beefeater outfits play the Star Spangled Banner. It was incredibly moving to watch, and it was the one time where the Queen broke with protocol to do it. The woman was absolutely tremendous. She was a visionary in a lot of respects. She was also a singular point of dignity. And I think that's something that can't be lost. I truly do hope that King Charles is able to provide the same level of solace and comfort to his nation that Queen Elizabeth was able to provide. So, in any event, do read the blog. It comes out on Wednesday at artemishq.com. As always, I want you to train constantly, train consistently, train repetitively, and train with purpose. Above all else, stay safe.